Welcome to an all-new episode of Get Lit with Lianna, the podcast. Join me as I sit down with a new guest author in each episode to discuss their books, careers, and everything in between. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I know it's been such a long time since I've recorded one of these, but we are back and better than ever. There's so many incredible episodes that are coming your way with great conversations featuring some of our favorite authors. And I am so happy to kick this off today, sitting down with one of my favorite authors of all time, Carley Fortune. You probably know her. You probably love her. If you don't, what are you doing? But I'm so excited to chat with her today about her new book, One Golden Summer. For those of you that may not know or may not remember, her first book, Every Summer After, was literally my entire personality for the longest time. It's still my favorite book, literally ever. I reread it quite often. Carley actually joined me on the show about 3 years ago to talk about her debut. So I'm so happy to finally have her back to chat about this book, which is so special because the story is actually in the same story world as Every Summer After. So it makes this conversation even more exciting because it's kind of like an addition to where we left off last time. And those Carley Fortune fans out there may already know this, but two of Carley's books, Every Summer After and Meet Me at the Lake, are actually both currently being adapted for the screen. So I got to ask Carley a little bit about that in this interview too, which is really exciting. So for updates, you may want to keep on listening. This conversation was so fun. We got to really dive deep into One Golden Summer and what makes it so incredibly emotional and unique and why I'm just so obsessed with it. It's literally my favorite book of 2025 so far. I'm sure it'll be my favorite book of the year come the end of the year. But this conversation was so fun. I had the best time chatting with Carley. I feel like you're going to love this episode. So please enjoy. Can't wait to hear what you think. Stay tuned for even more episodes coming soon. But without further ado, my conversation with the one and only, the absolutely lovely Carley Fortune starts right now. Welcome back, Carley, to the podcast. I am so excited to have you here. I know it's been a while since we last did this. I was looking back to see when the last time we actually did a podcast was, and it was exactly 3 years ago, which is wild.
Good.
Yeah, exactly 3 years ago. And so much has happened since, so I'm so excited to chat with you. But firstly, I would love to know how you are, what's going on now that One Golden Summer is literally weeks away. By the time this episode is out, the book will be out, but we're a little early. So how are you feeling? What's going on?
I'm feeling really good. Yeah, I'm excited for the book to come out. I feel like I'm really lucky in that my books tend to come out at the beginning of May, and it feels like spring has started, at least in Toronto where I live. And so I'm very much looking forward to the book coming out and the weather getting warmer. And yeah, I'm feeling good about it.
It's your books come out literally at the best times ever. I just feel like they are the best introduction to summer. And I look forward to it every year. And I feel like we've obviously been so lucky for the last 3 years to get a new book from you every single year, which is insane. But obviously today we're going to talk about One Golden Summer. And I know it's been a while since you were last here, but the last time you were here was obviously right before Every Summer After came out. And I was obsessed with that book. I still am. I literally go back and I reread it. It's one of those books. I'm someone that's really nuts about my Kobo. And I always remove books once I read them because I don't want the build up of books on my Kobo, which is crazy because I know there's so much space, but I need to delete after I read. And Every Summer After is one of those books that I literally will never, ever, ever delete because I just like to go back and read my favorite scenes. And it's obviously one of my favorite books of all time. So I was so excited when I heard about One Golden Summer and knowing that this was going to be Charlie's story.
Yeah.
And I guess firstly would love to know the decision to kind of jump back into this world and revisit Charlie as a character, obviously knowing that I guess there was kind of some polarizing opinions on Charlie in Every Summer After. And there was a lot of, I think, fan cry out of people justice for Charlie and wanting his story. So I'm curious if this was something that you kind of were thinking about from the beginning of exploring, or if it was more fan driven because people wanted so much more of him.
Yeah, it's a good question. I actually started when I finished writing Every Summer After, before the book had found a publisher, before I had an agent. I started writing a little bit of a book from Charlie's point of point of view. So before anyone had read it, I was thinking about Charlie. And when I first started having conversations with editors and spoke to Amanda Bergeron, who is now my editor, she had asked me about, other ideas for my second book. And I had said, like at the time, I've really been thinking about a story about Charlie, but I didn't have a story about Charlie to tell. It turned out, and but I haven't stopped thinking about him for years. And then the book Every Summer After came out, and it became such a big hit to like in a way I could never have anticipated. And I would get messages every day asking for a sequel or asking for Charlie's story, or even like the story of Sam and Charlie's parents. And
Okay.
um, it it was events too. When I went on tour for my second book, Meet Me at the Lake, I had people come up to me, and that was because that was the first time I was really on book tour, come up to me and demand Charlie's story. I had like pitches for who he should be with. And so it really was, and it just kept going. And as more people continue to discover Every Summer After for the first time, and I get messages from people still all the time, and they want more. And so when I was had wrapped up my third book, The Summer Will Be Different, and I was talking to my editor and agent about what was coming next, and I said, I had two ideas, and I said, and one of them was to write Charlie's kind of happily, give him a happily ever after. And I said, like, I just felt like it was time. Like it had been, I had enough distance from the story to kind of think about what I wanted to do with it. And at that point, I had enough confidence to go back to a world and a set of characters that people felt very strongly about. And yeah, I felt like a good time to go back to Barry's Bay.
Okay. Okay. So that's like a perfect parlay into the next question. So I feel like you've literally become like the spokesperson for cottage country. Like, I don't know if you feel that way, but I have friends who live in the States who literally messaged me, like, when reading any of your books, being like, okay, I need to know, like, is this really what Muskoka is like? Like, can you compare it to this? Sending me pictures of like
Yeah.
their equivalent of cottage country. Like, how does it feel to have created a place that it's a real place, but I guess created like a fictional-ish version of it for your story that is literally so beloved and like deeply like meaningful, I guess, to readers.
It's really special, honestly. It's I was in Brazil in the fall, and the readers there, they're big fans of Every Summer After, and one woman came up to me and she was crying about, she's like, I am Percy, I love Sam. And then I was speaking to a group of journalists and book influencers
Yeah.
in Brazil, and I was sitting there talking to them, and it just struck me like they all know what Barry's Bay is, and this is
Yeah.
a real place. It's where I grew up. It's a town of 1,200 people. That when I moved to Toronto for school, nobody had heard of it, and now here I am in Sao Paulo, and people have this idea of what Barry's Bay is.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And then also with This Summer Will Be Different, which is set on Prince Edward Island, there are so
Yeah.
many people who have traveled or are traveling to the island because of that book. And they're following the places that the people visit on Prince Edward Island. And
Okay.
it's makes me very, very happy because Canada's such a beautiful country, and I love reflecting that for Canadians, but I also love introducing people to that as well.
100%. No, it's amazing. It's incredible. And now my in-laws have not, it's not Barry's Bay, but they have a cottage kind of like Muskoka area. And
Yeah.
it's like whenever we go out to the lake and the dock, and I'm just like, Sam Percy could be here. Charlie Niles could be
Yeah.
here. Like I just feel like I'm living in a book. But for this podcast episode, I really want to like dive deep into the book, and I kind of would love to explore a lot of like the themes and a lot of the things that happen in the story. But before we do that, can we just top line summarize what this book is about? What One Golden Summer?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's told from the point of view of a new character. So if you've already read Every Summer After, this is coming from the point of view of a new character named Alice. If you haven't read Every Summer After, you don't need to read One Golden Summer, but you might want to. It will definitely spoil Every Summer After, but some people don't mind that. So it's told from Alice's point of view, and she is in her 30s. She is a career photographer. She's feeling just the kind of person who has worked really, really hard to, she's a freelancer to like become successful, like to keep her clients happy. And, you know, she says yes, she gets the job done, but she's really found herself drifting to this point where she's not really sure what she's getting out of it, particularly creatively. And at the same time, around this time, her grandmother, her beloved grandmother, falls and breaks her hip and has to cancel a trip. And her grandmother's very energetic and zippy. So this has made her pretty depressed. And so Alice comes up with this idea. Uh, Alice's grandmother used to go to a cottage every year in Barry's Bay. It was owned by her best friends. And Alice herself had spent one summer there when she was 17. And that summer was where she discovered that she loved photography. She took a photo of three teenagers in a yellow boat that kind of changed her career. It was a best photo that she had ever taken. It was like, I can do this. This is a good photo. And so Alice decides to take her grandmother to the cottage for one summer so she can recuperate and kind of get a break from work. And it turns out that the boy who is one of the boys who is in that boat is none other than Charlie Florek, who we met in Every Summer After. And he is also staying in Barry's Bay, across the lake, across the bay from her. And they kind of spark up a kind of an unlikely friendship and end up kind of getting to know each other over the summer and kind of drawing each other out of their different shells. Like Charlie has a kind of like arrogant, cocky exterior that masks a lot of what's going on inside, and Alice is very, very shy, but actually like quite passionate and funny and creative, and they really work well together. And that's the book in a nutshell. Yeah.
I mean, I know I was like messaging you when I was reading it for the first time, but I was severely unwell. Like the way I felt reading Every Summer After was a crazy experience because I truly had never felt that while reading a book before. And I was like, how is this happening to me again? You know, like, and it's in the same story world, which makes it even crazier because I was like, it's something just I think about like this particular group of people and these characters that I think I'm just like, I don't know, like I feel like I'm like my soul is like aligned to theirs in some way. But what was so interesting as a reader for this book in particular is that it's not a second chance romance, which is something
No.
that you typically have been writing and something that you're really, really good about and really like strong in. And what I found so cool about it is that like it is in a way like a second encounter because of that initial photo, but they didn't
Yeah.
really like know each other as
No, they never spoke.
yeah. So what was that like to write kind of doing something different where you're not building on a previous connection?
It was so fun. Yeah, uh I guess like I feel like they've all like the books have all looked at characters who have different kinds of past together in different ways. And so I haven't found them to be that like I like you can call like it might be second chance, but I found them all to be quite different in terms of like establishing what the relationship was.
In the past. Yeah.
Um, and so it didn't feel like um a departure for me in
Okay.
a way. I guess like what was different was that this one is just one timeline. It's like a chronological one summer in the present. It doesn't dip into any like past bits, which all my previous books have in various ways. And so that was a different writing experience, and it was way easier to manage the structure this time around. And so that was fun. And I loved like it was very hard to the other thing that was very different is my books have all begun with the setting. The setting comes first. Then it's about who our protagonist is, who the heroine is that we're following and what her journey is. And then her love interest kind of like develops from there. Whereas this story, I had the setting and I had Charlie, this character who I felt like I knew Charlie inside and out when I wrote Every Summer After. You don't get all of him, or
Hmm.
you get hints of it. And so I felt like I knew him so, so well. And then trying to figure out who who the right person to not only pair him up with, but a character who has her own journey that I'm interested in exploring.
Hmm.
That's what I spent a lot of time on before writing.
Okay. I would love that. I'm on to get into both Charlie and Alice in a second, but you mentioned in the little blurb you gave about the book how photography plays like a major role in the story, obviously in Alice's
Mhm.
career, but also in just like her connection to the past and to Charlie.
Mhm.
So, what do you think, or like, how were you writing this book thinking about photography and kind of how pictures are maybe like a metaphor for moments in life? Like, what was that kind of through line process when you were creating the structure, I guess, of this book or the themes of this book?
Yeah, when we landed on Alice as this photographer who had taken a photo that of Sam, Percy, and Charlie that had really changed how she saw herself and really set her on this course of her life. And that also that she had been there for a summer, observing them from afar. What I really liked about that is that Alice became a stand-in for readers of Every Summer After, who were also on the sidelines watching Sam and Percy and Charlie have their kind of teenage summer. So Alice is really the reader.
I
Alice
love
is really
that.
the Every Summer After reader. And she with photography, what like I was really playing with is this, she is someone who has not, she puts everyone else first, her clients, her family. She doesn't even know what she wants anymore.
Mhm.
And photography is this great kind of metaphor for staying out of the side, like out of the like somebody else is in the lens. She's
Mhm.
behind the lens. She's to the sidelines of her
Mhm.
life. And she really has to, like, part of her journey is like using her voice, coming into her own story, discovering what she wants and how to ask for it. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
I love that. And I love how the way you kind of have her go on this journey of like like self-identity and kind of understanding where she's at and what she wants is through this bucket list. And I'd love
Yes.
to know like how did that idea come to you, first of all, kind of doing like a bucket list checklist, kind of have that be like the driver of this part of the story? And also, how did you come up with the items on the bucket list?
Yeah, so Alice decides that she wants to kind of do over this. When she was 17, she, didn't talk to the kids on the lake. She was very shy. She was a very good girl at 17, and she decides she's gonna like for the summer, she doesn't have anything to do. She's like been like working so much and she's got a bit of work to do, but like now she has all this time and what is she going to do with herself? And she decides she's going to relive her 17-year-old summer and do all the things she wished she would have done when she was 17. And one reason why I did that was just to give the book a bit of a structure, like because I like once I got Alice to the lake as a writer, I'm like, well, what is Alice going to do?
Yeah.
and, and how are she and Charlie going to interact?
Mhm.
And what is her story? Like what does this summer really mean to her? And what does she
Mhm.
need out of this summer? And the bucket list just kind of grew organically from that. And I love a list. And it just felt like a really simple way to take us through the summer and also, build her connection with Charlie because they end up doing a lot of the bucket list together.
100%.
And I really just thought about the things that I would have wanted to do when I was 17. Um,
Mhm.
and uh, and I was a pretty, like, I wasn't as shy as Alice, but definitely was a good girl. And yeah, I just kind of grew from that.
Yeah, it was so wholesome and sweet. And speaking of wholesome and sweet, we have to obviously talk about Nan because I think honestly, I'm somebody when I read a romance novel, I'm really not into like secondary characters. Like, just
Yes.
give me like the main two people that are in love, and I just only want to read about them.
Yeah.
But somehow in this book, I honestly felt that Alice and Nan's relationship was like just as central to Alice and
Aw.
Charlie's relationship. And I loved every single scene she was in, and I
Oh, I'm
loved
so
their
glad.
relationship so, so much. So I just want to know like the inspiration behind that, and maybe like what you hoped Nan would give to not only Alice but to readers in general, people like me who are really like falling in love with her also, and just how she was
Yeah.
like such a guiding light, and her whole life, her whole story also, like there was so much meat to her as a character.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
obviously want to ask you about that too.
That's a really good question. I think like early on in the ideation of the book, before I started writing, one of the editors had said, who is like, what is the like strong female relationship in this book? Because Carly's books always have
Mhm.
female relationships that they're exploring. And I was like, oh, that's true. I didn't really identify that. And that's a good question, and there ought to be one. And then that's kind of where Nan came in, and I hadn't written about grandparents at all. And I also am very conscious of the way that we talk about older people, particularly women. And I wanted to give my take on how
Mhm.
I see older people, which is they're amazing, and have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And yeah, I loved writing Nan. And also she was a bit of a tribute to my grandparents, who my mom's parents, who were major cottagers. They both passed away before I was born, but I have this like idea of them
Mhm.
as cottagers. And my grandmother, who she had four children. She used to take all four children to the lake for the entire summer.
That's
She
crazy.
didn't have a washing machine. Did they have a phone? She just like
Yeah.
she did it all by herself. My grandfather would come up on the weekends after work, and there's all these pictures of them at the cottage and her in the canoe, and it's kind of my tribute to
It's
to
so nice.
Irene. Yeah.
So nice. She was like the sweetest part of this book. I love her, and I love that their relationship. And then I guess we need to talk about Charlie, because
Yeah.
obviously Charlie. Whew. So the emotional like guardedness that he has in this book, I feel like is literally what drove all of the tension in this story, and
Yeah.
kind of like how his actions maybe not weren't really matching up with what he was saying. Like, what was that like to kind of create this character who was obviously in Every Summer After? You're bringing him back now, you're making him the
Yeah.
main star, and having all of this baggage or all this
Yeah.
background, I guess. Like, what was that like getting to really dive deep into him and who he is as a person?
Well, he is my favorite character to write, and he
Okay.
was my favorite character to write when I wrote Every Summer After. And
Okay.
like he's kind of remained I feel like I put him in a scene and he's like off. Like he just does his thing and I know like it just happens. And
Okay.
so I don't know why that is, but I really am connected to him.
Okay.
And so it felt very like it was frictionless to have Charlie in scenes. And I just loved it. Like I just love it. I love writing him. He's so great. I love writing. He's such a like I love writing him and Sam together. He's
Yeah.
such he like they I love them when they argue. And I've just always found that Charlie like my take on Charlie is that he is a very, very big heart, and he was like a provocateur in Every Summer After. But and I think I said this like at the time when that book was out, the thing about people who can like needle you is that it's because they see you and they understand you and they're looking. And he has always been a keen observer of other people.
Mm.
And Sam and Charlie's father passed away when they were quite young, and he was the oldest child. And that experience is really affected him. And that was something you got to like pull out more and look at this kind of world and these characters, but from a new vantage point.
Hmm. And even when things were happening where it must have been like so frustrating for Alice, you still are cheering for Charlie, like beyond words. What was that like
Yeah.
to write those kind of scenes? I don't want to give spoilers, but like scenes where there was really a lot of tension between the two of them and like knowing how you are about Charlie and how like easy it was to write him. Like, how was it then to write these kind of like high tension or frictional scenes between the two of them being so like knowing how good he is and like knowing the end result, if that makes sense.
Well, without spoiling things,
Yeah.
like Charlie is dealing with an issue, and I have always known,
Right.
like back when every summer after days, I've
Crazy.
always known this about Charlie. So for me, that this was something that if I ever wrote his story, this would be part of it. And so
Mhm.
I was ready for it. I was
Yeah.
ready. And I also um, yeah, I just really empathized with him. Like I really, felt what he was going through. And,
Okay.
um, he doesn't really have anyone to lean on. Like, one of the great things about, I mean, he has his brother, but his brother's got his own life um, own stresses. And I think one of the things I loved for Charlie with this book is that he got to have a family with Alice and her grandmother,
Hmm.
and writing the relationship between Charlie and Nan was
Hmm.
so um, wonderful for me because I felt like that's what he really needed. And so, yeah, I was prepared. I was prepared for it to get rocky for a
Okay.
while.
Okay. Fair, fair. But speaking of obviously their relationship, Alice and Charlie's relationship, the chemistry was insane again. And
Thank
I know the
you.
last time we spoke, I was asking you about writing intimate scenes and you were kind of like laughing about it and how it's kind of like you're choreographing a dance and like, does this make sense? How has it been now being like you're a few books in to writing scenes like this? Like, is it getting easier? Is it any more challenging maybe because you're trying to get more creative with what you're doing? Like, how has it been kind of writing intimate scenes in like such a tasteful way?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope they're like hot but also uncringy. That's my
I
goal.
love that.
And you can only kind of judge that with your own ear because everybody's version of cringe and
For
hot
sure.
are so different. Um, but one of the challenges is just keeping it fresh with every book. But I think, it's the same with like any part of the story. It's like what's the dynamic? So
Yeah.
what does that look like? What are the set pieces we have to work with in terms of the world? Like I'm such a setting person. So like
Yeah.
where are we and what does that lend itself to in terms of like intimate scenes?
Yeah.
And then like their own particular like the personalities of the characters. It's still like one of those things that like you really like I'll write a scene on the first draft and then it's like, okay, is this right? Like, is this the right tone? Are these the right words? Do I need to like push it further or pull it back? And that happens in like all cases,
Hmm.
where it's just like examining and it's like, is this like feeling right? And my editors are very helpful with that too. Like, are you sure you want to use this word? It's like,
Right.
no,
Right.
I'm not. Now I'm blushing that I did. Let's never like we have a lot of little like comments in the sides.
Like things we never bring up again.
I don't
That's so
remember what
funny.
it was, but there was definitely that situation in writing One Golden Summer. Like you could push Charlie pretty far. So it's like, but do I want to?
That's so
No.
funny. That's amazing.
Pull that back.
And then obviously, without giving away spoilers, like the end of the book, there's this twist, and it was like super, super emotional. And I was really, once again, unwell reading it. And I was messaging
Yeah.
you, and you were like, I wasn't expecting this to like get this type of reaction. And you made such an interesting comment where you said that you also didn't expect this kind of reaction from every summer after, like people being like so distraught and like bawling their eyes out and being like, oh my God, like I'm so unwell,
Yeah.
I'm so obsessed. Like, What do you think, again, you were able to accomplish here? Like, how do you think it's just the characters? Like, and what's so surprising to you about these reactions from your books? Like, what do you think about it when you're writing it that you're not seeing that what everyone else is freaking out about?
I don't know. Like I did like there is sometimes when I write I cry. And so like I like that it's like if a reader cries at that moment, that makes sense to me. I like there was a point in One Golden Summer where I had a bit of a cry, but I think with both Every Summer After and One Golden Summer, there have been readers who are just like crying for chapters and chapters and chapters. And my editor, when she first read Every Summer After on submission before she became my editor, she like was reading it in her apartment, and her husband was like, "What is wrong?" Like she didn't realize she had been sobbing, and she sobbed like through all these last chapters of the book. I'm like, I don't didn't realize that. Like I
Mhm.
just it's hard to know how a book
Mhm.
impacts. It's reading is such an intimate experience. It is also like about where you're at
Mhm.
and
Sure.
how a book is finding you and when it's finding you and like what headspace you're in. And I do think there seems to be like a really strong attachment to Barry's Bay and these
Yeah.
characters
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I don't know if that's because it's like where I'm from and so much from my like if it's I don't know, my own like
For
intimacy with
sure.
that world is part of I don't know. Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't know.
Did
But
you
I feel
feel
pretty
like No, but did you feel like any pressure diving back into the story world, knowing how beloved Every Summer After is? And like, not because it is a standalone. It's not a sequel, but like in a lot of ways, it's the same story world, right? So people are already
yes.
familiar. Like, did you
Yes.
feel like, hey, this was such a smash friggin' hit? Like, what if people don't like it? What if it's like roughing, like rustling the pages? Like, like, was
Yeah, oh
that
yeah, that
something?
I mean that pressure was certainly there, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of waited to
Mhm.
dive back into like because I really was able to set that aside while I wrote.
Mhm.
It was like okay, I acknowledge that what this like big task is, and definitely the first day I sat down um, to write, which was at the same spot I started writing Every Summer After at the lake. It felt like, ooh, this is a hard one to start typing the first few words on. But I don't know. I was able to kind of say, you know what, like I'm gonna do my thing,
Mhm.
and then it will do its thing. And I only control one of those.
No, and everyone who loves Every Summer After is going to be obsessed with this book. I mean, I've seen like the early reviews also of other people like me who have read it who have just been like so enamored with the story, and it does exactly what it needs to do. And it's just amazing. It just to go back into that story world even for a little bit from other people's perspectives, like is just incredible. And the fact that you got to kind of have a sneak peek back into the lives of Sam and Percy was
Yeah,
amazing. So what was
yeah.
that like to write to kind of
Oh,
visit them
so that was
again?
so fun. I had actually written a little bonus chapter from Percy's point of view last winter.
Hmm.
And I had like and that was after I was starting to write One Golden Summer. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll just like do this like little chapter of Percy and Sam at the lake, Christmas time. Charlie will be there. And it was so fun, like to be in Percy's head again. I was like, this is delightful. And I had like that chapter is going to, we're doing a special collector's edition of Every Summer After that I think is out in August. And so that chapter will be in
Oh
there.
my
And
God,
I
okay.
just, yeah, they're so easy. They're just so easy for me for some reason.
Yeah.
These people, they're just,
I
yeah,
so I don't know if you're able to like share anything about this, but obviously it's being adapted into a TV series, and I would be remiss to not ask. So you can tell me to shut up and we can't
no,
talk about it. But I need to know like, and also you're involved, which is insane. Like you're executive producing. Am I correct?
yes,
Okay, I
yeah.
never know with these trades, like how accurate things really are. So I'm so excited to hear that. Like, how
Yeah.
involved are you? Are you allowed to share? And like, are you allowed to share at all? What's the current pace of this? Like, what's going on?
Oh, it's happening.
It's fully happening. Like,
I
it's not.
actually I don't have my marching orders on what I'm allowed to say and
Okay.
not say yet, but
Okay.
it's the first season is greenlit. It is well underway, and it's like yes, it's happening. I suspect there will be more news soon.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very
Okay.
it's
Crazy. And as an executive producer, like being the author, do you get to say anything? Like, is it more like, do you have any control over anything creatively, or you're not even like at that
It's
spot
not
yet?
really about creative control. Like there are,
Okay.
there is a director or there is showrunner, the writers.
Okay.
But I like what I think like my value is kind of um understanding what the fans love, like what like you need to hear Sam say you've
Right.
come home, you need your friendship bracelets, like the things that like really
I
like
love
are
that.
little things that people just want.
I love
And then also I found like so this is being adapted by Amazon Prime, and uh I have found like my like partnership there and like my ability to like speak my mind
That's so good.
to be like I feel very respected, and yeah, it's been very positive.
Amazing. I always say, like, my dream job, truly, my number one dream job would be to be like working for a studio that adapts books into movies or books into TV shows, but like making sure the consistency from the book is there. So, like, change it however you need to change it for it to fit the screen, that's fine. But like the things that the fans need, like, exactly like those like lines or the little like moments, things like that, like making sure that those deep, true fans are happy. I feel like that would be
Yeah.
literally the best job in the world. And it's amazing, I think, when like authors of books who are getting their books adapted for any other medium can be involved in that capacity to just like make sure that the little things are accounted for, things that like
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
would slip through the cracks for someone who's not a diehard fan of the book, you know?
yeah,
So I love to
yeah,
hear that you're involved in that way. And then obviously also Meet Me at the Lake was
yeah,
being adapted. I don't know if you could say anything about that too, but it's amazing that your books are getting this kind of bigger recognition and being adapted for other medium. Like, is this something that you hope keeps happening with all of your books? Like, what does it feel
yeah.
like to be an author to do this?
Yeah, Meet Me at the Lake is in development. So it's in development with Archwell Productions, with Netflix, like in conjunction with Netflix, and
Okay.
that's in development right now as a film. And that, like I'll keep my hands and toes crossed for a green light. But that's kind of where that project is right now, and things are moving along behind the scenes. And then this summer will be different, has been optioned, but that's all I can say about that one.
Hmm.
And it's been really fascinating actually learning about this kind of side of things and the film and TV world.
Hmm.
And it's, something when we were selling the rights to Every Summer After, the screen rights, I was like, I haven't want nothing to do with like adapting a book, and now I'm like, or do I?
You got a taste and you're like, I think I like this. It must be crazy
We'll
though to
see.
be able to like see this story come to life in an entirely new way.
Well, I'm like, yes, it is like it's its own thing. It's
Yeah.
really pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
Crazy. Well, we're
Yeah.
all waiting. We all can't wait. And then I have just asked this question also because I feel like people are going to want to know, like, are you going to go back to Barry's Bay in books? Like, are we done now with this? Like, what do you think?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I've been thinking about that myself too. Like, are we done? And I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
It's
I love
hard
it.
to like leave a place behind that is so like I love writing about it. Yeah, so I actually don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
It's a good answer. It's better than no for now, right? So
Never.
obviously you are working on things like, I mean, I'm obviously watching you on social media all the time and I see what you're doing. And I know that, draft one of book five is completed. And I know that you
Yeah.
signed it. Oh, you have it right there to tease me with it. Okay, wait. I need to know the color coordination of the Post-its. Like, what are we
So
working
these ones I
on?
didn't color coordinate them really.
Oh,
So some are from for fact checking, but the
okay.
rest are yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
But also you have like it's a two book deal, right? So book five and book six are for sure happening. So are
yeah,
you even touching book six yet? Or is it like you get book five done, 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 and then you go to book six? Like what's the process
yeah,
like?
yeah. I get book five. I'll get book five done, and then I'll think about book six. I have a very loose idea, but it is super, super loose. But that's kind of like I like to keep the ideas loose at this point because um yeah,
Why not?
there's no point holding it tight for me. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you could share about book five?
Ooh.
Am I putting you so on the spot? You're not allowed to say anything.
I'm it's a bit different. Like
Wait, what?
I feel like it's a romance. I feel like the tone is maybe a bit different. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm
Okay.
having fun with it. I'm really enjoying it. It's like it's got a mood.
Okay, I love it. Is it a concept that you had like in your head for a while, or is it something that recently came to you when you had to put pen to paper?
No, it's something I've been thinking about for a while. Like since before I wrote One Golden Summer, and like a different kind of version of this. But I've been thinking about this, and then like also there's like it starts with a scene, and that scene I have been thinking about for years. And
Okay.
then I'm like, I don't know what story this is or who these people are, but so it's been like something that's kind of just been in the back of my head for a while.
That's epic. Do we have like timelines for this book at all?
It'll be next. It'll be next.
Next May.
It'll be next May. Well, I'm assuming May, but I'm not quite sure. But next year for sure.
So
Yeah,
crazy. That's so
we're
exciting.
yep, working on the cover. It's all we've got a
All happening.
title.
Love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
More soon.
Ugh, that's the best news. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for taking
been
the
a
time.
delight.
This was
My
so
pleasure.
much fun. And
Yes.
I can't wait for everybody to read One Golden Summer. I know everyone's going to be obsessed. Obsessed.